Hello, gliding friends, YouTube. Excited to get back to Uvalde's reviews. This is day 2, August of 2023, 18-meter U.S. Nationals. They also did open and 20-meter at the same contest, and this was the sort of pre-worlds for the 2024 FAI World Gliding Championship, which will be held here. This is the third time the World Championships have been held in Uvalde, and this is a really cool task because, let me kick over, you can see the task here. It's here's Uvalde, and then it takes us down into the open sort of flatlands south of Uvalde, and Piedras Negras is right on the border. This is the Rio Grande, but then it took us way up into hill country for a big turn area. And we stayed up and out in hill country, and this is total tiger country, completely unlandable other than airports and the occasional, I guess, road, but there really are no fields whatsoever. So this is an exciting place to fly, and I worry a little bit about the Worlds and the way the folks fly at the Worlds, pushing really, really hard. You can get incredibly low back here really quickly, and it can get a little spooky. So the U.S. 18-meter nationals crowd tested this a little bit today, and you'll see that in the replay. I'm also going to go through IGC Spy. Had some recommendations to do that, so I've been playing with that a little bit here before the video, and I'll try and shorten this up a little bit. So this is Rich Owen's review, SSA.org. Go to racing, latest results, and that will bring you, so racing, latest results, and that will bring you to, I'll just go to the page here. That'll bring you to this page, and then you could select the contest, and here's 18-meter nationals, and all the information is right here. It's the way we do it in the U.S. right now. We don't use Soaring Spot, but this does have some utility, and the flight logs are all there, and the scores, etc. So this is day 1 and day 2, and this is the day 2 report. Let me confirm that. Yep, day 2. So Rich's report here, some personal stuff, and then we jump into the flying. So 18-meter class is the largest class, so Rich starts with us. A 4-hour area task, and again down into the flatlands and then up into the hill country. Start C, McKinley, Eagle Pass, which is right at the border, Kerrville, and then Rock Springs. And Kerrville was the big turn area where everybody soaked their time. Very challenging task from a weather perspective. It was weak at first, big struggle to get up. At 1:15 the weather sort of switched on and things started cranking. We got up to the maximum start altitude, which was 7,000 feet, and they opened the gate. Most pilots started between 2 and 2:10. First leg to McKinley was a little blue with wisps, not a very fast leg, and I really suffered on this leg. I'll show you that. I guess I had a fine leg, but some other people were much faster, and I didn't do very well on this day. I was 6th and quite a few points behind the leader. On the next 2 legs to Eagle Pass, which is again the border, so basically over the flatlands to the west, over to the Mexican border, it started to get better, and by the 3rd leg up into hill country, we got as high as 12,000 feet. But the routes were dramatically different. We had guys who went way to the east, running up different lines of clouds, and sort of picking where to go into that turn area, which was quite large. I think it was a 30K radius, so quite a sizable turn area. And some people maybe suffered a little bit. And then it got weak a little bit onto the 4th leg, and it was difficult to stay fast. Rich is arguing here that it might have been a little bit of a long task. It it did shut off late in the day. There's no question. Yeah, and then we had some 7 mile. We had weak at first, and then we had some 7 knot climbs, and then late in the day, those who were pushing and expecting that kind of lift, it definitely was toning down. So I think everyone made it around today, and it was a good day. Dave Leonard took third place. He flew entirely on his own, which was quite impressive. Sean Murphy in his JS3, and I think Dave Leonard is also in a JS3. Started to really rev it up here. A little bit of a bad first day, but he's can go very fast, and he started to show that today. But he also takes a lot of risk, and he got a little bit low over the hill country. So we'll take a look at that. Sean is very aggressive, but when it works, he will whoop butt. David Greenhill in his brand new AS33 flew a very nice task. Stayed high, not a lot of risk, and ripped it at 93.5. And this is flatland flying. Yes, we did get up to 12,000 feet, but considering the start and the finish and some of the holes that we had to navigate through, this was an incredibly fast speed. And this wasn't Uvalde flying under streets all the time. There were some big gaps between the cloud fields. So congratulations to David Greenhill, who's an excellent pilot. And I enjoyed flying with him. All right, I'm trying to find the results. Here we go. Whoops, I guess I'll just kick over here and we'll do the results for day 2. There we go. So with the U.S. Scoring, you have the overall rank. So after this task, David Leonard was first, Gary second, Gary Ittner. I was third. Sean Murphy moved all the way up from a little far back yesterday, like 11th to 4th with that. Really good task. Rick Ingerbro had a little bit of a tough day. I mean, only a 97-point loss, but it's still 900 points, so that's how close it was. A lot of very good pilots at this contest. Bob Fletcher finished 4th for the day. Sergey had a little bit of a tough day. David Greenhill on his 33 just killed it. So how much faster was he than second place? Over a K per hour faster than Sean in second place. Really fast task. Fernando Silva was 7th for the day, lying 9th overall. Dave Springford 12th for the day, 10th overall, and then on down through the list. Jersey got an 8th and still stayed back quite a bit after that 100-point penalty on the first day, and it was definitely, you could tell this was going to be a tough contest from this. Oh, also, I'm going to go through, I had a couple recommendations to look at IGC Spy. It's really easy to suck in your flights from a soaring spot contest, and then you get all kinds of data, which I've looked at this pretty carefully. I think there's great data here, and it's interesting, but this is a bit of analysis paralysis. It really, gliding comes down to feel, recognizing climbs a lot of the time, and then your runs and your routing, and strategy isn't really reflected in this data, but it is still interesting to look at. So I'm going to grind through that a little bit with trying to keep this well under an hour. Very tough to do because I like to talk. Let's just look at the task again, maybe in a little bit more. Where's the task? Here it is. In a little bit more of a sort of controlled environment. So here's the task. You have the start line right here, just south east of Uvalde. Very short leg into the first turn here at McKinley, and a very narrow angle, which caused a little bit of head-ons because it's, again, an area task. And if there's a cloud here in between the angles, it's very common for people to come to that cloud, go into the turn, and then come right back out to that strong climb, which creates kind of a head-on escalator effect. Obviously, it's really hard to not have that in the context of a task, but that was a little scary. And then we have this long leg, 137K. to Eagle Pass, more into the wind, I think, on this day. And this was a turn area that was very dangerous because most of this turn, well, not most, but a third of this turn area could be a penalty, and a big penalty, 1,000. Well, your score minus 100, so you lose your score for the day. And I think maybe somebody got caught on this. I can't remember, but this was pretty scary. So you guys come into the Worlds, they will call these turn areas along the border on these turn points, and you have to make sure you don't cross them. And also, the way the airspace is set up, you may fly and say, hey, I'm right here. Zoom in here a little bit. I'm right here. I'm not over the border. The border is the river. Well, the airspace is straight line chunks that go through here. So even though you're not over the river and you think you're looking down on the United States, you may actually be over the airspace. So it is very, very challenging in the heat of battle to not make that mistake. All right, so Eagle Pass, then back up to the northeast to Kerrville for this huge turn area. And you can see it in relation to San Antonio here and Del Rio, which is on the border. So this Uvalde is just south of the hill country, and then the hill country starts here. And then this is kind of what I call high country. Here, there's a little bit more flat areas and maybe an occasional field to land on. You can see there's quite a few airports. But some of these areas, if you're down low, there is nothing to land on. Maybe a road. Very, very difficult place to be low. Low. And as Rich mentioned in his article, I've done it before, and I think it was somewhere here around Rock Springs or maybe even further out here, where I landed on a mining road, or not a mining road, an oil road, which barely fit my glider in. I landed and wingtip was 5 feet away from a fence. My landing gear was on a small road that had little boulders on each side, and then trees and rocks on the other side. So I sort of almost crashed, but I got away with it, and the glider didn't get hurt at all. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. So this area for the World Championships is going to be exciting because you guys will push really hard and are crazy, and that's going to catch some people out if people aren't respectful of this terrain. It's not mountains, so it doesn't look that frightening, but when you get down low, there's just nowhere to land, and it's a broken glider situation. So Kerrville over to here to Rock Springs, small area, and then back to the finish. All right, so that's the task. Close it up. And here we go. I'll try and narrate this as best I can. And there goes 7 Tango. I've got it focused on 7 Tango just because I don't have the context for anybody else, so I can't really describe what they were thinking. I do have some memory. This contest was only 3 or 4 months ago. I do have some memory of this day, some actually pretty good memory. So I will, whoops, a little too much there. I'm going to pull this out and then zoom in. So this is obviously the 2D, and keep that right about there. And then this is the 3D, which I really appreciate. And this is the data for 1st through 10th for the day. And you can see here David Greenhill, 7 Tango, and on down to Gary Ittner and Papa 7. All right, so no starters yet. Actually, I don't know why this hasn't turned gray. Maybe I changed the setting or something. Normally it's not colored until they cross the line, but there's so many settings in here. I clicked too many. I'm not going to worry about it. You can see the wind right now is light out of the south, and everybody's still working up, trying to get up to that 7,000 foot start altitude. So nobody is going to start until that happens, and we don't start until Looks like starts are right around 2 o'clock. So we're at 8:46 right now, another 10 or 15 minutes. So, a couple of gaggles here forming, and that's looking down the leg. There's really nothing exciting to look at. It's Texas ranch land. I guess it was a little cooler today, which made it a little weaker for a while. And looking here at the altitudes, a couple people getting up to 7,000. I got up to 7,000. Now Foxtrot Sierra's up to 7,000. We're here in this group. I think Fox 1 is the first starter, just so I know kind of when we're getting going here. Still no starters. Although it looks like 2 Hotel might have started. No, I'm thinking of a different day. I've been looking at a lot of flights. There we go. Okay. So basically, I stayed with Papa 7. Another group went down the left, and there were wisps, and we're basically taking the best line that we think we can. I'm a little confused here because I feel like I'm looking at a different task. I think I've looked sort of previewed too many of them, and I was thinking of a different day. But anyway, on this particular day, you can see that a lot of people hang back here for quite a while, and we are definitely early on this day. So we're basically in the first position. Area task, so it doesn't really matter, but Papa 7 and 7 Tango here don't really have anybody out in front to work with. And basically I have a very mediocre first leg. I think a lot of the other guys push harder out of the box, which is good, especially when you're starting in a big pod behind. And Papa 7 got above me. I can't remember what happened. I think I had like a spoiler opened or something, or I had some problem that caused Papa 7 to be able to get away, or maybe there was a piece of tape loose or something and it fell off. I can't remember what happened, but Papa 7 kicked my butt and left me behind, and that wasn't a very good feeling to start the task. So here I am alone going into the first turn. It was a very, very short leg, and looks here like I'm gonna, even though I got left behind, I'm gonna catch back up to Papa 7 here somehow. I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit for this sequence. Oh, one note here is Zulu Lima is off the front by himself pretty much the whole day, and he gets third, which was really impressive. I think he had a little bit of a weaker final glide. He had to slow down just a little bit, but he came very close to winning. Our task winner is kind of in the middle of this melee. You can see him right here in the big group, the Mega Gaggle. And if I zoom in here a little bit, that is a lot of activity. So everybody's basically following each other down the line. There's Sean Murphy, second for the day. I believe he was second for the day. Yep, second, 988 of 1,000. And so the top starters here looks like they started at 12 and at 9. So Sean actually started a little bit behind David Greenhill, and just for comparison, that's about 10 minutes behind us. 9 to 12 minutes behind us. So reconnect here with the Papa 7 group. We're in a 3 meter per second climb, and we're looking ahead at maybe a little bit more clouds, and it's kind of Spartan in here. Papa 7 takes off onto the next leg directly down the rum line, and a lot of these guys I think carry a little deeper into this leg, and I'll zoom it. So here's my point, and this group, 8-9er, etc. Who's somebody else in there? Mike Sierra, he's not in the top 10. X-Ray Golf, not very low, so 6,300. They dig in a little deeper on this first leg. Two Tangos on his own, went very deep into the first leg. I can't remember whether he started in front of me or behind me. Let's take a look at that just so we can sort of know where Two Tango is. He started at 57, so he's an earlier starter, and he went a little deeper. And now, but he's put us in front of him, so he has some markers out ahead. And Romeo Fox is a little low there. And Zulu Lima way, way off the front, and Fernando Silva and David Springford. And I'm going to hold the camera back, and we can see the majority of the pilots. And looking here, zoom out a little bit, looks like these guys went, another 10K, which is 20K in total distance, because you go in and out down to the southern edge of that turn. 2.6 meter climb, and we kind of connect with Two Tango, and we're going to connect with Foxtrot Sierra and Fox 1 here. 3.3 meter per second for both Papa 7 and 7 Tango there. I'll zoom out a little wider. And you can see the big turn area here to the north and the hill country on this 3D view. Zoom this one out just a little bit bigger. So right now, I can't remember. I think there were wisps on this leg, and it's starting to fill in just a little bit. But the cloud field wasn't consistent, but we're getting up to reasonable altitudes. Papa 7's up at 88, I'm up at 89, so we're kind of the highest of the group here, of the top 10 at this point in the task. And X-Ray Charlie looks like he's gone a little further than everybody in that first turn, and he did have some pretty big mileage, and he's on a different line. There's X-Ray Golf and 9er, the winner right here. This is 7 Tango and Papa 7. And I'll zoom in here just a little bit so we can watch us fly. 105 glide ratio for 2 Tango, 84 for 7 Tango, 79. So almost identical glide ratio for us. We're kind of team flying here. It's either team flying or I'm leeching him. I can't tell which. But no, I'm not going to let Papa 7 just fly away. He's too good of a pilot. I'm going to just try and stay with him. It's sort of a admission of respect. You're not beating him, and he's not beating you. You're saying that I think that we can fly faster together than we can individually. Try and stay out of his way, but keep an eye on him. And generally we're finding pretty strong climbs here. But this is very conservative of me at this point, and I hope Papa 7 doesn't get annoying. I didn't have an invitation to fly with him, but I took the liberty. 2.6 for Papa 7. I only get 1.9. He outclimbs me there a little bit, which he does quite often, and takes a little bit of a lead. The group behind, I think we had a pretty fast second leg here. You can see we're just going right down the rum line, where, look at the deviation. I mean, that's 20K, and now there's like a 50K spread of guys going down this leg, with to the south X-Ray Golf and 8-9er way deviated down to the south. 90 way deviated to the north, but they can get away with that because it's a turn area. So, you don't have to check in that deviation back to an assigned racing test turn point. You can simply time out the distance straight into your turn area and keep going, and there's no loss yet. There's no consolidation yet. But look at that spread. It's massive deviation. You can see where I turn here, pretty short again in this second turn. And the thinking in the mind of the pilots at this point is, this is weak up here. We're only getting to 7,000. The climbs are 3 knots or 3 meters a second, so 5 knots. But you expect much stronger conditions up here in the high country. So you want to spend the majority of your task up here in the high country if you can. And that probably turned out to be the case. I just think the winners flew better. So I'm flying as short as possible to try and get up here into the north, and I did that, but it didn't pay off. And that's because there were some big gaps and some big holes, and the final glide was quite difficult because it started to get weak, and generally everybody caught up by then. So I was just slow today. It's basically all there is to that. All right, so Zulu Lima is still on his own. I think we've caught up just a little bit to that group, so that's good, but a lot of racing left to go. And I think there was one cloud here that we flew to, and there was another cloud out, which is lining us up to go back to the north, and then a huge blue hole with a little bit more clouds back up to the north. So, the guys who went deep in here are just, there isn't much distance further to go here. You can see we're only that far away from the river. And the guys who went deeper in here, I would think didn't get a lot of gain for that, because it was a little bit better to the north. But, some guys were just faster up to the north, so they got that distance back. And that's what Niner did, really. He was very fast on this third and fourth leg across the top of the hill country, and that won him the day. Right now, I would say X-Ray Charlie he's got a lot of distance, and he's staying about a beam of his group. Here's Jersey and Rick Ingebro, who have went quite a distance down to the south and are now bending back up. But you can see there's not a lot of room for them to soak in. They're basically going to have to come in here, but they're very close to the river at that point. And while I've been talking about that, you can see we've all taken off to the north from that point, and there was a couple initial clouds that we were going to. Fox 1 here, he's off by himself and got a little bit more distance into the turn within a couple K of the river, so that's dangerously close. And he's off on his own. So a lot of individuals here. A little group in X-Ray Golf and 8-9er. 8-9er ended up having a very bad task, and X-Ray Golf had a moderate, I think 16th and 8th or something. Yeah, X-Ray Golf here for 8th. There's your winner, and there's second place, David Greenhill and Sean Murphy. Fernando Silva in his JS3 was a complete rocket ship up this leg. I like to say ripped my lungs out. And he really did. He was a rocket on this leg. And he just basically flew away from us. And I had one of the worst legs of my contest. I mean, I was awful on this leg. Romeo Fox killed me. Papa 7 killed me. You can see he's already broken away. I'm with 2 Tango now, and he's in a JS3, very fast, and I just missed a climb. But once you get into this position, it's really hard to, try and run and chase with these guys. But I was just with Fernando Silva, maybe 500 feet below him, in the turn area, and now, I'm well aware that he's 5, 8, 10K ahead. And it's just, there's so much imperfection in soaring, in trying to be as efficient as possible. And this was a bloody leg for me. What I could do differently, I'm not quite sure. I think there were some bubbly climbs there, and I got left behind or below the bubble. And these guys got above and away, and then left first, and then found a better climb ahead. And before you know it, you're in a different time zone. X-Ray Charlie's coming out there, and X-Ray Golf and 8-9er are kind of separating here. Back in this group, there's Tim Taylor, 9 Bravo, Andy Blackburn, Foxtrot Hotel, Mike Sierra, and the group. But very dangerous here, getting close to that border. All right, back to this group. Fernando, really flying fast. Papa 7, also really flying fast. We were behind Fernando, so he did have a lead. We were never quite even with him, but he's off like a rocket and not being very accommodating of letting us catch him. I've fallen behind all of this group. Fox 1's kind of come back into our group. And this is just kind of going into survival mode and trying to reset, relax. We're going through some blue hole here. There's just the smallest little wisps or haze domes that are working. But, the timing of hitting those is one thing. And this is what I was kind of talking about the other day. You've got to forget about these guys and feel what you're feeling with your glider. They could fly through on this leg. You could hit something pretty strong right behind them that they completely miss. But if you're expecting to fly to their climb, you could get there and there's nothing there. So I remember going through like a mental reset on this leg and just said, forget it, and almost wanted them to get out of my view so I would stop getting influenced by where they were, because it was easier to sort of sense the climbs and find the climbs on my own, just flying straight. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it can be very mentally taxing when you're getting abused by your friends like this. So, a lot of room for improvement. All right, 2.4 meters a second. Papa 7, 2.6, and Fernando Silva just crushed us all. See you later. And we're getting a little higher now. You can see 8,000. Some of these guys are at 9,000, 10,000. So we're starting to get to these better conditions. The air mass is already changing a little bit. We're still not even in the foothills of the hill country. But the air mass is definitely working a little bit better, and obviously it's later in the day, so who knows for sure. And then this is what I was kind of talking about. Let me back up to this last thermal. So I'm on the bottom here of this group. We're climbing in 2.4. Papa 7's way up on top. He's at 8,500, and I think he goes up to about 10. And again, the scale is just very wrong in CU. It looks like we're just a couple wingspans apart, which would be 150 feet. But in reality, 7 Tango's here, Papa 7's here. 7 Tango is at 7,300, and Papa 7 is at 8,300. So that is 1,000 vertical feet between the lowest glider, me, and the highest glider, Papa 7. Just 30K ago, I was right with Gary, and he said bye-bye and just left me behind. And Fernando Silva is flying like a Concordia or something right now. He just in the zone. And I think this was the kind of leg where it was blue mostly. There were wisps where when a guy is in the zone and kind of feeling for himself and not influenced by other pilots, you get kind of distracted by that. You can fly much faster. And look over here to Zulu Lima, who, if I can hit the right keys, had a killer day, third for the day. He's flying on his own and, generating some really good speed. Today was a day where the leader could really gain, and it just had some dynamic with the way, we were flying through wisps and mostly blue conditions. So quite an interesting day, and I'm lucky I didn't have a pretty bad day today, because to this point I don't think I was flying particularly well. And the IGC Spy will show you that, and that's public. You can log in and create an account and look at the data yourself. It's a pretty cool tool, although it is kind of analysis paralysis. So there, I get left behind. I'm lowest, and 2 Tango hits another climb there. The lead guys above take off, and they're off to the races. And I pull into 2 Tango's climb, and 2 Tango didn't get anything, and I come in just a couple seconds behind him and get 8 knots for 3,000 feet. So that almost feels like luck, but I'll certainly take it. And that kind of got me out of a funk and caught me back up to a group that was just punishing me. Looking here at sort of the distances, this is a 50K scale from the edge of the screen here to this. And, we're basically 40K ahead of X-Ray Golf. 9-0 is going fast. I'm not sure exactly how much farther you went here, but it feels like some of these guys are starting to move up towards us. So I need to get my butt in gear and start turning it on. The one that I was maybe most impressed with today was, on this leg, was Zulu Lima, who just flew totally by himself and ripped it. So for now what we're looking at as we're coming into the hill country is there is a cloud field up here. There are cues, and so it's kind of an accordion situation where I'm bummed because I realize that all these guys that I was with ahead are going to get to those clouds 2 or 3 minutes in front of me with that lead, and they're going to hit big climbs, and then they're going to be off to the races into the cloud field. And I'm high, that's my only benefit, but these guys are going faster. So Fernando's deviating left here, if I remember correctly, because you could get into the cloud field sooner by going left. It was longer in a straight line, even though that was more towards the turn area, to stay straight, or I guess we're aiming towards the left edge or northwest edge of the turn area, where Fernando made a big deviation to get into the clouds sooner, and that was his strategy at this point, and it probably paid off, although Fernando had this amazing flight going, and yeah, he's basically the same points as me, 943, 1 point away. But I count my blessings that I got anywhere near Fernando the way he was flying there on that part of the task. It was just absolutely Sebastian Cow-eyeing us. So that's what he's capable of doing. The 9-0's caught up. He was way behind. He's basically with me. I'm just a little bit above. Romeo Fox is still there with me. I think we come together here eventually. But anyway, that 8-knot climb, or almost 4.4 meter per second climb that I found, thank you to Tango. Even though 2 Tango was ahead and above, I get to go by 2 Tango, who's now in a 2.7 meter climb, and I basically gained a ton on him. So it's kind of lucky, but that's how quickly things can change in soaring. And 2 Tango was right there, right near that 4 meter per second climb. He just missed it, and I think it was entirely blue at that point. So, and that climb has connected me back to Dave, and it's kind of connected me back to Papa 7, which is good. And where'd Fernando go? He's back here to the left. So quite a deviation for Fernando at this point, but he is up here in the bigger clouds sooner, and he's lost a little bit initially, but I think he gains back and blasts out in front of us, and basically goes back to a similar lead in terms of total distance down this leg. So a little weaker climb, 3 meters a second, exactly the same for Gary and I. And 9-0 is in a 3 meter per second as well. A little bit of deviation here, oddly enough, kind of away from the high ground, but something must have popped over here that pulled Gary to the right, and we're starting to get into clouds now. Although Zulu Lima, at least initially, isn't finding mega climbs. Sean Murphy's back here in a 4 meter per second climb, right here. That's right about where I found my 4.4. So something was happening there, right where the terrain started to rise. Fox 1 goes a different line. Basically a beam of Fernando there. And we're falling back down a little bit. We're at 7,500. Fernando's a little higher, 8,200. Pull this back so we can see the group. I don't see Niner in this group. Here's areas. There's Niner. So I'm pretty zoomed out there, but Niner has definitely closed, and I think he went a little deeper in both of those turn points, and now he's maybe 25k behind us. So he's having a very fast leg. So 1.4, a miss. Papa 7 runs on. And I remember now this vividly. I remember this. We're in the clouds now, but nothing's working. And the farther you go, the better and harder the bottoms look. But here, the clouds look good, but just didn't work. And didn't work predictably. We're in 15 kilometers per second out of the southeast, so it's off our right 90, right wingtip. And there's 3.1. I think Papa 7 found that for us as well. So we take another 2,500 feet for that. I'd say that's nominal. It's about 6 knots for the day. Here's the Niner group already catching up to Romeo Fox, who was with us. So these guys in the back are maybe it's cycling different, but they're really gaining on us. Zulu Lima's right at the center of the turn area at this point, and he's in the clouds, and that was my idea to basically come back to here, but I think for whatever reason I was running out of time on the 4 hours at this point. So, it looks like we're following Papa 7, but I think we are in a segment here where it's best cloud, best cloud, best cloud. There wasn't really a lot of option to do much differently. You can see Fernando Silva has now, in terms of 90 degree to the rum line here, is going quite fast. And where is Fernando? He's up at 85. Actually, we're quite high as well. We're at 10,000, but he has gained forward quite a bit, and he's also under the strong clouds, and 9-0 has the exact same idea. The clouds were progressively stronger and more developed as you got up further north into this high hill country, and it's not east-west, it kind of bends to the northeast southwest in terms of the elevation and this high country, and the clouds basically followed that same path. So spent a lot of time with Papa 7 today. I'm not ashamed of it. 1,200 feet, 2 meters, that's pretty weak. So we are struggling to find good climbs. So is Fernando Silva, 2.2 meters. So, we stretched out here hoping and turned early, hoping to get up into this north country and have spend more time in the north, maybe work up to this point and spend more of our task time up here. And it doesn't seem that worked out. where the other guys spent more time down in the south. And this leg was pretty fast, actually. The stronger climbs were back here, 3.5 meters, 4 meters, that sort of thing. And they actually spent more time in the stronger conditions so far. And you can see, that along with just flying skill. Niner has essentially come from way far back to, he's very low though. He's pushing hard. He's at 4,600 feet, which is AGL only 2,700 feet. So he's really legging out and pushing low. My flying style, nope, I'm not going to push that low unless I have to. It's early in the contest. You may lose a few points, but you want to live to fight another day. And I do not want to be low, needing to continue to push out into the hill country. You want to be high up here so you have some flexibility and you can miss a little bit. But what do I know? Because he kicked my ass by 60 points today. So, congrats to David for that. But I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm still comfortable with what I'm doing here. That's pretty low, considering this ramps up and becomes almost unlandable very, very quickly. And he's over that terrain now, and it only gets worse as we go further north and the hills get a little higher. Papa 7 finally shakes me. So, a different opinion. 2 Tango actually comes with me, and I think at this point deciding just to try and get up to the next layer of clouds north, which look better than these. These are still not quite fully developed and the climb rates are weak. I remember wanting to get up here for this leg, but I'm obviously timing it out. We're not getting as much speed and strength as we had hoped, and the clouds really aren't working very well. So maybe this is a little bit of a defensive move to get ready to start turning. You can see where I turn right here, so I actually don't go much further. And we're converging with Fernando Silva at this point. Pretty nominal LDs. We're definitely in clouds. Another kind of weak climb, 4 knots, 2.3 meters per second. And we're just not finding enough. 2 Tango says, forget that, Sean. That's not enough for me. I'm going to keep pushing. And this is one of those legs where it just looked better and better and better and better ahead. But obviously you can see we're just not finding it. So very, very interesting. So once again, all this pack generally has gone deeper in the last 2 turns. They're also setting up to go deeper in this turn. So they're getting much more mileage than I am. And Papa 7, obviously I've been with Papa 7 quite a bit. So right now I'm probably not in a great position. So velocity task. There's a pretty big differentiation in speeds here right now, and I'm probably behind. Fernando Silva turns there pretty early, and that will also be a turn downwind. So we're also fighting into a little bit of wind here. Papa 7 goes out, turns. He's a little lower now, but he's got another, 7, 8, 9K in total there. But he's down to 8, where I'm still up at 95. So we're nice and high, but our AGLs here are not as high as they look. This terrain is basically 2,000 feet higher than the flatland here, or maybe 1,500 feet higher. So there's my turn without a thermal. I just say enough. And I think at this point with these weak climbs, the thinking is, oh boy, it's getting late. If it gets weak, we're going to get stuck. Just throw in the towel and start running downwind. And at this point, I had no idea where anybody else was at this point. You can see Zulu Lima, who's coming back out of maybe this point. Where is he? somewhere in here. It looks like he kind of went to maybe here. And yeah, where are you? Oh, here's Zulu Lima. So maybe he went to something like here. But overall, I did not get a lot of distance. I feel like I'm kind of been weaker here. All right, so 2 Tango, 7 Tango, and Papa 7 still generally together. Fernando Silva turned early and is off to the races. And this actually does get pretty good here. It gets fairly strong. There's a 3 meter per second climb. And this is actually a very, very fast leg. And in hindsight, I think I did it about perfect because I go almost to the back corner of this and still finish pretty much exactly on time, so 4:49 over. So it was actually a pretty good spot to turn, all things being considered. And I'll zoom out here a little bit. So we're in the clouds now. There's decent clouds. They're not producing the climb rates that they looked like they should have produced. But on this leg, somehow they just, maybe it was just a little bit better to the west. Maybe this is drier here. I know there had been thunderstorms back here, some big rains, and maybe that area was just suppressed from the water on the ground still. I never really figured it out, but wow, look at Zulu Lima. He's over there right with Papa 7. He's really covered some mileage compared to me. He did 378 to my, yeah. He does a little bit more. It sure felt like more. All right, so I'm definitely off the front here, going well to the north where the clouds look stronger. And Fernando Silva has the same idea. And this was unbelievable to me. When I saw 2 Tango kind of angling that way, I knew this guy was down here. I thought I was in a great position, and I thought I was going to kill him. But it turned out that they actually went equally as fast farther to the south where the clouds were not as defined as on this north side. It was just an odd day. 3.2, so maybe a little stronger than average. So I'll take that for 2,200 feet, and that'll get me back up to about 10,000. Papa 7's back there at 11.5, way up. Climbed probably all the way to cloud base on something, but you can see he's fallen back quite a bit, and he's paired up directly with 9.0. Fernando Silva's already all the way to the turn point. Trying to catch his climb rates there. And now another thing to think about is there are clouds in here. There's a couple clouds. There's a couple holes, and it's starting to spread out, and then it turns totally blue back here on Final Glide. So you really need to get to Final Glide here and in this turn area because it's basically totally blue out here. You know, maybe there was 1 or 2 wisps, but this was kind of scary. Was it going to be enough? Because the last thing you wanted to do is get down here over the flat land, 1,000 foot short of getting in. It was late in the day, and I think it was also forecast to kind of collapse late in the day. I think because of the moisture. And it was also a little cooler than normal. Fernando just drives it right to the back, and he's pretty high, 9,600. I'm at 8,400 here, so I'm definitely going to need to climb. And you can see 2 Tango, who went that different route, is basically going to arrive at the same time. So, a miss. It's 1 kph right there. To Tango, 2 meters a second, not that great. I don't find anything and turn downwind without a climb. So now I'm going back directly into the wind right there, I'm experiencing 28 kilometers an hour. That's pretty significant. So that's 18 miles per hour. I'm well under final glide at 8,400. And Fernando's 700 feet higher and, 6 miles ahead. I am in a little bit of a jam here. But there were clouds in here, but I only had one or two more to work. And Zulu Lima and 2 Tango are struggling to get up. 9-0's right there with me, so he's really caught up. And I think he beats me on this day. Yep, 9:58, so Bob had an excellent flight today. And I hit 3 meters a second and take that to final glide, so 3,200. So at least I get a reasonable climb. Bob gets 3.5 and basically catches up to even with me, and I think he was below me at that point. So Bob got an excellent final glide climb, the highest value of anybody here. 2 Tango goes a little further. Zulu Lima takes that all the way out. He's sort of gone short. And there we are. I think we're off to the races. I'm still behind Papa 7. 9-0's caught up. But then look at that. Who is that? That's Mr. Greenhill. He's almost at the same altitude. He's gone deeper into every turn, except for this one, just a little bit. But he also started 10 minutes behind me. And he's going to kill me. So he's going to get 373 and 6 miles per hour faster average speed. So a really impressive flight. Now I'm supposed to point something out here. Where is it? There's maybe a land out there. Oh, I guess Sean Murphy got low back here somewhere, but where is he? He's this red trace. Let's see if we can find that. Maybe it's coming later, but I don't see anything that looks too crazy. Maybe this spot here. This guy is really low. Anyway, I think Sean got down to 1,000 foot over the hill country. But I think his JS3 doesn't have a motor. So it was a little bit of a risk, but he still got second for the day, and I'm sure he was fine. All right, so this final glide was a lot of fun. 2 Tango pushes way out ahead. He's in a JS3. I hate JS3s because they're fast, faster than my 29, and especially in a long, fast run. It's an incredible glider. Hotel 7's a Venice 3 over here. Papa 7 and ASG 29, 7 Tango and ASG 29. Zulu Lima is a Ventus 3. Then Niner is a AS 33 and 90 is a 29. 2 Hotel, I'm not sure what 2 Hotel is. A Ventus 3. So just those are the guys on the final glide, but we're all starting here at different altitudes. The real battle here was Zulu Lima 7 Tango, so JS3, 7 Tango, Papa 7 is an ASG 29, and then 2 Tango, JS3. So kind of 2 29s, excuse me, and 2 JS3s. And this was really, really fun. And maybe this is what saved my task, really, because I had a great final glide. And actually gained a little bit on I think I started off MC3 and, basically even, and got there and, kept 100 knots plus all the way home. And I'm going to slow this down a little bit because I don't do enough with the 3D and zoom in so you can see the relative flying style of the various glider pilots. Now Papa 7's a little low at that point. He's definitely going to need to climb. He's at 7,300. I'm 1,100 feet above him, so to give you that relative distance, 2 Tango and I are exact same altitude. I have the advantage of being able to follow 2 Tango. Zulu Lima's a little lower, and 90 and 9 are back here. So maybe you guys can get some good enjoyment of watching this final glide play out. And definitely some different tracks taken here. There were no clouds whatsoever. I remember seeing a bird and, a couple of wisps here and there. And then we're also looking at ground sources. So we're coming out of the hill country here. There's a town, there's a road, there's, some ravines down there. But it was blue. Zoom out just a little more so we can get those guys behind. But this is one of the best parts of contest soaring is actually making, having a really good final glide. Fernando's way out in front. Pretty impressive flight. How did Fernando tied with me? So it's 5th or 6th or something. And you can see 2 Tango is kind of red shifting me there a little bit. It's just a pure LD battle, and I think we're on final glide right now. I do a 31, and he does a 34, and that's just about what they say. You're going to get in the book. Just slightly better performance, especially at high speed. And the ground speeds, I'm doing 239, and 2 Tango's doing 233. So we're roughly flying the same speed, but he definitely glides just a little bit better. And that's worth 5-10 points maybe if you really make it work. But these modern gliders are definitely flying through the air better. I'm not positive about the climb performance, but you can see here that I have the benefit of looking at 2 Tango, looking at his up and down, and he's a little higher than me, relative to the position in space as I fly through the same spot. But I have a huge benefit of following him and seeing where he's going through lift and sink, as you all know. And Zulu Lima takes a little bit of a different line there, but we leave these guys behind and gain quite a bit of distance here on this very fast final glide that we both made. And thank you for 2 Tango for leading the way. You can see there he's just going faster. Here's the finish line right here. And we're slowing down just a little bit. So this is into the wind. The wind's gotten a little lighter. I think we're pushing a little too hard there for a while. He's still going 225, and I'm slowing down just a little. Went through a little bubble there. But this was a good final glide to push on, because you can see pretty much everybody made it, and some of the guys were quite a bit lower. Even Papa 7, who was 1,200 feet below, I don't think he had to take another climb, and he made it penalty free. And there's the finish right there. I think 1,500 foot MSL was the finish height. Zulu Lima makes it on a slightly different route. Oh, Papa 7 did have to take... No, Papa 7 didn't take a climb. But that's pretty amazing. From 1,200 feet below us, he made it. Albeit a little slower there. He's cruising in at 145K. So he loses a little bit there, actually. So he started it a little low and had to go pretty slow. Where's Papa 7? 10th for the day. So that final glide, I would say, I was almost exactly even with Papa 7. He went a little deeper. So this final glide right there earned, 7 points. It's something. All right. So there you go. Coming back to X-Ray Charlie. Let's see if we can see any low point there for him. Oh, yeah, this is still stuck on me. Let's go back to Sean. And if I go back, yeah, I don't really see anything too crazy that's red. Oh, so he had to take a climb on the way in, but he's probably killing us, and maybe he just undercooked his final glide. He's also later in the day, but I think Sean had a potential here to win this task. Niner's already home, and I think progressively the weather was getting a little weaker. So, Sean maybe flew through the air really well and probably at winning pace, but he just, the timing was just a little late for him. Anyway, enough of that. Hey guys, sorry for the abrupt cutoff there, but I did a ton of data stuff, but it's just too long. Mainly trying IGC Spy, and I think a lot of the IGC Spy stuff is great, but it is just minutia. And when you're doing an area task, it really doesn't matter that much. Maybe in Sailplane Grand Prix, something objective where everybody's flying the same task in the same distance, there's some value there. I did the CU data as well, which I think is enough, but I decided to cut it short just to make this task a little easier to digest at about an hour. So maybe in some of the final days I'll do more data or on a racing task with IGC Spy, but I'm going to stop it right there. And thanks for watching the video, and we'll get on day 3 here shortly. Thanks.